All right. Boom. Live again. Friday night, as usual. Oh, man, I'm sunburned and it really, really hurts. But everybody that's tuned in, welcome to the.
Art and Stuff Show. I'm your sociably, dashingly, distractingly beautiful, suave and sassy, smooth as ice co-host, Sean Ahrent. And with me, as always, is my brother in art.
The very attractive, the very sexy, very distinguished, always narcissistic, but never vain. Joseph Michael Sonntag, or Joe M. Sonntag if you prefer, or as the Pope saw me last weekend and he confided in me and called me JMS. What's up?
Everything's great. Everything's great.
Good.
I want to
It
thank
is.
everybody first and foremost for all the love, the prayers, the good support for my dad. He had surgery. Things look good. Now we're on the road to recovery. So thank you all. I love you. And whew,
That is awesome, awesome news, man. I know a lot of people that love you were definitely worried and praying, and it's great news to finally hear that. So, Sean, you want to give the hype man
yeah,
intro?
we got a great show like always. We have my best friend, Mark Poulton of Primetime Poulton, of Coney Waves, of Graveyard Shift, of US Assassin, of a cat named Haiku, and just all around good looking dude. Let's bring up Mark.
What's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up? Thanks for that introduction, Sean, man. That's
Hey,
awesome.
anything for you. Hey, I'm just looking for a slice of pizza.
Yeah, anytime.
Pizza.
Yeah, my man. What's shaking? How you doing? How's everything going with you?
Busy, man. I'm very fortunate to be so busy, but I mean, I'm sure we'll get into it. But I was just out in Michigan signing 3,000 copies of Graveyard Shift. I'm expecting copies of awesome shirt. Got the hat. Monday,
Come on,
I expect copies of Sea Dog and Codename Killswitch to come in. I'll start fulfilling that. So back-to-back fulfillments on Indiegogo campaigns. I got nothing to complain about.
my man.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's a busy, busy schedule. But hey, you were up in my neck of the woods in Michigan. Hell of a
Yeah.
state. How do you enjoy that?
I wish I got to see more of it. John and I were pretty much stationed in front of a TV signing books,
Yeah.
but he did take me around to do some sightseeing. Everything was still closed, but we got to play some
Yeah.
frisbee golf, and that was fun. And he took me to 8 Mile and Detroit, and we did a little
Why?
sightseeing.
Why?
Why?
It's like you got Camden in your backyard. It's like you seen one, you
Yeah.
seen the other. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
a
good
baseball
point.
fan, so I was excited to see Comerica Park and
Oh,
Right,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Very
I was
good.
only there
Very
one time.
Yeah.
Not a Detroit fan at all. I'm a Chicago fan, but I got free tickets, and so I was like, "Fuck it, let's go to a game." Went there. Tigers got trounced, man. It was like 15 to something. They were kept playing the Kansas City Royals, but yeah, it was a fun time. It was good. Wasn't appreciating that I was in Detroit, but no offense,
Right.
Detroit fans, people out there. I love you. I love you. I just don't like the city. Sorry.
Right. So, Mark, can we get your origin story of how you came to
Sure.
be, how you got into the world of comics, and
Sure. So I always wanted to make comic books. I started out
what's up, Ray?
um,
So,
hey, Ray.
Raymond,
I started out a fan. G.I. Joe was sort of my gateway into comic books. I loved the cartoon. I loved the toys. And I saw the commercial where they highlighted it was perfect marketing. They highlighted the toys, the cartoon, and then at the end they said, for more G.I. Joe, check out Marvel Comics, whatever number. And I was like, there's G.I. Joe comics. I had my mom find a comic book shop, take me there. I bought the issue, and then I signed up for a subscription. And then I just started checking out other comic books after that: Spider-Man, X-Men, Batman, Justice League, stuff like that. And I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. I want to make comic books. Um, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. Back in the, I guess, 90s, it was sort of a mystery to me. Like the internet
yeah,
really wasn't as available as it is now. So like I tried my best, but I couldn't figure out. I would ask, like I remember I asked who was it? Tom, I think it was Tom Morgan at a local comic shop. He was like the artist of Alpha Flight. At a local Comic Con, he was the Alpha Flight artist. And I was like, hey, how do you get into comics? And he was like, oh, you don't want to make comics. And I was like, no, I really do.
Nice.
And then he like made fun of my sideburns and told me I should try to be on 90210 instead.
Good inspiration. Good inspiration.
So I couldn't figure it out. And around that time, like the indie movie scene was real big. Guys like Kevin Smith and Robert Rodriguez were hitting it big with Clerks and El Mariachi. And I was a huge movie fan. And they were writing books telling you how to make movies. And I was like, wow, this seems so much simpler than making comic books because they're telling you what to do. So I started writing screenplays, and I bought the Hollywood Creative Directory. I started sending my screenplays out to producers, and I optioned a screenplay on my own.
Nice.
Yeah. The producer actually has ties to the comic world. His name's Zane Levitt, and he produced the Fist of the North Star live action film starring Gary Daniels and Chris Penn. So I was like, oh, this guy gets me. He's my kind of person. And he had the option for a couple years, and we were so close so many times to getting the movie made, and it just didn't happen. And by the time it was over, it was like the 2000s now, and I started like figuring out
JoJo.
I started figuring out like what you have to do to make comics. All the publishers had websites now, and fortunately, one of my best friends at the time, he's a good friend now. Sean's my best friend, but Dexter Weeks, longtime friend.
Yeah.
He wanted to make comics too, and he was a student at the University of the Arts, and he was interning for a guy, and he was like, oh, we should ask him if he wants to make a comic book with us. So I was like, sure. And that comic book was Coney Waves, and we pitched it to a couple publishers, and Arcana Studio picked us up. And I remember the first issue came out like the same day as Civil War #1 and Final Crisis #7 came out. So like these big books came out and no one paid attention to Coney Waves. But you know, it became, once I got that first book out, it became so much easier to get the next one and the one after that. And I just started doing more stuff, and I was fortunate enough to catch the attention of my hero, Rob Liefeld. And I was just a fan on his message board, but I was posting like my Coney Wave stuff, and he was so supportive of it. And one day I sent him a DM and said, hey, could you tell me what I have to do to one day be able to work with you? And I sent him the DM, and I didn't hear back for a while. And then one day I saw that there was a message in my inbox on his message board. So I checked it out, and all it said was, Mark, we're going to work together one day. And I was like, whoa.
Nice.
And then on Thanksgiving Day 2006, I want to say, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize. And usually I just let them go to the message, but I decided to pick it up, and I said hello, and on the other end I hear, Poulton, it's Liefeld, what's up?
Wow.
and Rob had tracked down my phone number from another guy on the message board, and he talked my ear off for like 2 hours, just telling me he had plans for Avengelyne. He wanted me to be the guy to bring Avengelyne back. He loved what I was doing with Coney Waves. He loved that, like, I've, basically a self-made man. So it was very flattering. And so this was 2006. This was 2006, wow. And Avengelyne didn't come out until 2011. So during those 5 years, he let me do a Coney Waves Avengelyne crossover.
Really?
And then, yeah.
I'm in it.
Yeah,
Are you?
Sean's in it.
I didn't know
Yeah.
any of that. No
Sean's
shit.
you're getting thrown out of a bar, right?
Me and Seth, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
art imitates life. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah, I own the
Nice.
page. It's over there somewhere.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I did that, and he put me to work on some other things. I scripted the backup story to Image United #2, which was a Bloodstrike story. So like, real early in my career, I'm like in a book with like all my heroes: Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, Eric Larson, Jim Valentino, the guys that created Image Comics. So I mean, it was awesome. And finally, I kept like reminding Rob, Avengelyne, when were we going to do it? To the point where he nicknamed me the Squeaky Wheel. And
Hey.
we finally got rolling on it, and it came out in 2011. And while I was working on that, I get another email, and the new 52's going on at that point, and Rob's doing a bunch of stuff for DC, and they want him to do more. So I get this email, and he said, "Hey, doing more books for DC. Want to bring you on for Hawkman. Cool." And I was like, yeah. So I was so excited, but then I don't hear anything for like maybe a month or more. I was like, oh, maybe it's not happening. I don't know. And then one day I get a call from DC, and they're like, yeah, we just want to get all your information to get you in our books to start working on Hawkman. We're really excited to have you. I was like,
That's
wow. I even visited like the offices because I'm a Jersey guy. So when I was in New York, I just like emailed my editor to see if it was cool to drop in. And I got a tour of the offices, and like one of the editors was like, "Hey, I used to work for Wizard. We used to pass copies of Coney Waves around in the office." I was like, "Wow, that's that's incredible that they even like heard of that little book and they
Yeah,
knew
that's
who I
really
was."
cool.
Yeah. So yeah, so I ended up doing Hawkman. I run on that, and so I had Avengelyne and Hawkman going at the same time. I was on the top of the world, and then Avengelyne gets canceled. I'm like, well, it's all right. I still got Hawkman, and everyone was so happy with our Hawkman run. Like when I did the tour, Mike Martz, who was like a high up editor there, he was like, "Man, it's the best Hawkman we've ever had." And I was like, "Oh, it's a great feeling. We got our like next two storylines approved, and like the pay vouchers came in, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be great." And then all of a sudden, like I wake up one day, and like everything like blew up. Rob had a big argument with the editors at DC, and quit, and I couldn't get like any answer from anyone, from Rob, from DC, what was going on. And then I got an email telling me I was fired.
God.
And then the next day or two, they rehired me with a raise. And I was like, okay, maybe this will work out. And they were like, oh, we want you to complete the run. Because I was scripting, Rob was plotting. And they were like, oh, we already paid Rob for his plots. We'll just have you script. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then like the next day they fired me again. Just
What?
because because Rob got in a Twitter fight with Scott Snyder. And Rob had already quit, so they couldn't do anything to him. So they were like, oh, let's fire this Poulton guy. He's Rob's guy.
Like, that'll show him.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I was you could imagine I was a little disappointed after that. And but I just went back to work doing my own stuff. I did a couple volumes of a children's book called A Cat Named Haiku. I wrote a graphic novel with my son called Pizza Tree that did really well for us, and was nominated for a Ringo Award, won a Moonbeam Award. So I experienced the highs and the lows, and just kept motoring along. And then all this time, like back when Avengelyne was going, John Malin and I were working on this book, Graveyard Shift, because I've known John since like 2006, 2007, and we were kind of like Rob's proteges, I guess, from the message boards. I was his writer, John was his artist, and he had us working on various projects, and we decided to work together on Graveyard Shift. And the timing finally came. John had finished up his run on Cable over at Marvel, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to do Graveyard Shift now." So we finally got to release it, and it did amazing. The first volume did like $106,000 in pre-orders on Indiegogo, and we've been rolling ever since then.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Back it up a little bit. How awesome was that to work with your son on a project?
Oh, it was great. He's really smart, really creative. He came up with the idea for Pizza Tree.
The kid is an enigma. All right. The kid is an enigma. He is smarter than he is. Like, I'm like, I have conversations with him. I'm like, I'm talking to a 9-10-year-old. Should we be talking about this? And he blows my mind. And bro, the kid can ink his ass off. Like, he's got a real steady hand. Like, he's an amazing artist.
Oh yeah,
it's phenomenal.
Yeah, Whole Ink. I do a line of pro wrestling kids books and Whole Ink pages for me. Yeah, so yeah, he's awesome. Super smart, a bit of a smart ass too. Like he gets that from my wife. But yeah, he came up with the idea for Pizza Tree when he was like 3 or 4 years old. We were out eating. We were at a pizza place, and he was like, "Dad, I know where pizza comes from." I was like, "Oh yeah, really? Where?" And he was like, "It's simple. You take a slice of pepperoni, you plant it, and a pizza tree grows." I was like, "Oh, that's brilliant. That needs to be a book." Yeah. So it took a while to get it made. I probably worked on it for like 3 years.
Oh wow.
But when it finally came out, it was an awesome feeling, and did really well for us. And by then Chase was in school. He got to take it in and read it to his first grade class, and he was cool. Like the coolest kid in school. So
yeah,
it was
that's
nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, and we got to do a signing at San Diego Comic-Con, and we did a bunch of signings. We did like almost a mini tour for Pizza Tree, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's super cool. If the floor is mine, I don't want to step on your toes.
Yeah, look. Okay. I know everything about her, most part. So go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. Chase, that's your son, right? Chase?
Yep.
Yeah, he definitely, JoJo says he's got some imagination. That's awesome. And absolutely. That's really, really cool. So I'm gonna jump back a little bit in your origin story and ask a couple questions I had. So back in the messaging boards days, which I don't know, do they still do messaging boards these days? I'm not sure.
I don't even know.
I'm not a part of them, so I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go, Raymond. Yeah, he knows.
Hard facts. Chase knows. Chase knows that. Yeah.
It seems that the messaging boards were like the place to go to communicate with some of the big names. I've talked to Sean a bunch about stuff he did when he was younger and whatnot. So how actually, because I've never experienced this personally, Sean has, you had, so I was like, just how awesome of a feeling is that to get a phone call and then to know that a living legend, one of your idols, is on the phone with you, wanting to work with you and ready to work with you. And then you talk to him for 2 fucking hours. I mean, how much of a high were you on that?
Well, day? I'm not there yet, but like as far as like a buddy situation, it's like, hey, that I got. That is awesome. But Mark has a better perspective.
So when Rob called me, it was Thanksgiving. So I was at my house, and later that day, I had to go to my parents' house, and I was like on cloud nine. I was so excited. So when I got to my parents' house, I was like, Mom, Dad, I have some big news. And they thought my wife was pregnant. I was like, no,
No.
I was like, no, I just talked to my hero, and he wants to hire me to make a comic book. And they didn't. My mom wasn't as excited anymore.
She was like, "Oh, comics,
That's nice.
grandkids, comics."
Yeah.
No, that's.
But yeah,
that's
the whole
yeah.
the whole message board experience with Rob. Like when I first started interacting with him, he didn't even have a message board. I called him on Miller World, Mark Miller's forums he had, and there was a thread called the Rob Liefeld appreciation thread, and Rob would occasionally pop in there and say hi to the fans. But it was like early 2000s, so every time he would pop in, there would be like 20 guys ready to jump on him and give him a hard time. So finally it was like, hey guys, I'm just gonna create my own message board, and everyone who's a fan can just come over there, and we'll have like civilized conversation. So I just followed him over there.
That was like 05, 06-ish.
Yeah, and there was a whole town of people over there. Rob just sort of like encouraged it, and Rob was always like big on finding the next big talent. Like when he had Extreme, he found Marat, he found Dan Fraga, Chap Yep, tons of great talents. So he had this message board, and from there he found me, he found John Malin. Well, John, I guess, had already been working for him.
Yeah.
Because John worked at the Image offices, but Adelso, Kanan White was there. Just a ton of great people.
Wow.
Owen Gieni, who I did Avengelyne with, and now I think he's the artist of Rat Queens. So yeah, a ton of talent there.
That's
it was pretty
cool.
intimidating too, because like as far as I'm, no, not even like just like the artist, because like I was an art school kid and like I was pretty decent. I'm like I could draw, and I see these guys and I'm like, fucking hey, like Adelso was really like Adelso was the first one where it was just like wow, like
yeah, dude's
this
he can
guy
draw,
is
man.
insane. Yeah, like props to everybody else, but like I'm proud of what he's accomplished because of it, because that guy's phenomenal. And the thing about the message board is, I'm sorry to cut you off, but like I never thought about like having like internet friends, like I thought it was like a real world guy, or I'm like internet friends. What's this about? But like because of Rob and his characters, like besides my people at home, like my closest friends in the world are from there. Like people that I consider family, like I talk to them daily. It's because of Rob and his characters. So like it's a trip.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add like not only did I meet John through that, and John and I are doing Graveyard Shift, but my other project, U.S. Assassin, I met Mike McMahon through there, and he's one of my best friends. I have another book coming up, The Black Gal, and I met the artist of that, Mark Poulton, through that message board. So, I mean, it made a ton of connections there, a ton of friendships. So, yeah, it was an amazing experience. I'm fortunate that there were Rob Liefeld message boards.
Yeah,
it's really cool because it's almost like the message boards became almost like I don't want to say like a second Extreme, but there was so much like talent, like you said, that was pulled out of it. Not just that Rob was working with, but that you guys found each other and worked with each other as well. And the center of all that was basically Rob being one of those guys that was somebody that wanted to look for new talent and give chances to people, which you don't see that out of everybody. And I think that's a really good aspect of his character, and you also mentioned like all the shit he would get on Miller's boards or whatever. And that just proves to me that the Rob Liefeld haters are just some dumb fucks. They don't know a damn thing. And I'm going to say, anybody out there that doesn't like it, you can have your opinion on the dude's art, and that's fine. But to attack the dude and anything he's done, you don't know a goddamn thing you're talking about. And that's just I get off my soapbox there for a second and get back to
No, yeah,
broadcast.
he's a great dude. Like he's done a lot for me. You know, like he's had my back, and like I said, I'll go to war for that guy. You know, like if he's like attack, I'm like, oh, I got you. You know, like he's got a great like philosophy of like give back to others or do for somebody that couldn't, whatever. And it's a great dude. You know, he's funny as hell.
Yeah,
And he
getting
likes
back to your
Jodeci, so yeah.
getting back to your thing, saying how the message board was the new extreme. When I was doing Avengelyne, he kind of just let me run that book and be like the project manager. So the one thing I made sure was I put the extreme logo on the inside of the book. I was like, this is like my chance to be part of extreme. It meant so much to me because that was such a huge part of my my fandom. I used to like flip through the extreme comic books in the back. My favorite part was actually the back where it had like the interviews with the creators. I still remember Dan Fraga's interview still like sticked out to me because he was like making up weird stuff like put it in the knit splitzer and stuff like that, making up words.
Yeah.
I was like that guy's a rock star. So I wanted to be a part of that, wanted to experience that, and like it still carries over with the stuff I do today. Like Extreme had those varsity jackets. One day I'm gonna have Graveyard Shift varsity jackets. I guarantee it.
Nice.
I already got Sea Dog hockey jerseys, and that was a direct rip off of the Spawn hockey jerseys from the 90s. So
that's awesome though, because that was an amazing era in comic books when Image came out. Extreme, not just Extreme, but just Image in general. But that was just an awesome era for creativity, finding new talent. The art was amazing. The characters were awesome. And so to carry that out to now and try to infuse a little bit of that into kind of a industry that's a little bit boring in some of the stuff that they do and give an alternative, in these in indie books that you're producing, I think infuses life into a much needed situation. It needs a heartbeat to start fucking pumping. I mean, we definitely need that. But yeah, no, I mean that is awesome. That's what I was telling Sean. Like I missed the opportunity to get Graveyard Shift 1, so I was happy to see that issue 1 was included in the second campaign because I got them both this time around. So I'm looking forward to actually getting to read them the first time. But that was before I actually I was out of comics for a long time. I was doing music and I was doing stuff. So when I was getting back into art and just getting my feet back wet into what was going on in general in the industry, I had no idea about campaigns or anything. So it was just, I was naive to the entire thing. So I missed a lot, but I'm really excited to read Graveyard Shift. I'm excited to get US Assassin. That's coming along with that. I backed the I'm gonna fuck this name up because I always do, but I backed the Sea Dog and codename Kill Switch.
Yep.
You're right. Oh
yeah.
First time. But I backed that, so I'm really excited. So I got a whole bunch of your stuff coming. So I'm really looking forward to reading it all. So yeah, just I'm rambling.
Yeah,
I'm rambling, but that's what I do.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. I've said to other people, like I was like the height of my fandom was the 90s, and I haven't been as excited about comics until like the last couple of years. Yeah. And it's because of like the crowdfunded comics, like with Comicsgate, you got Cyberfrog, Jawbreakers, Graveyard Shift, Black Flag, and then there's some other books, like Metal Militia, which I was a huge fan of in the 90s. That made a comeback recently on crowdfunded books. Black and White from Art T. Bear.
Yep.
I don't know. It's just it's a great feeling.
She has, she's coming back.
Oh yeah.
That's you're right, man. It's Sean's used the word before. Like it's a renaissance. That's what you said, Sean, right? It's like a renaissance with
I've said many things.
You have said many things. That is very true. But it's like a renaissance with these style of books coming back, and a little bit of a, I don't want to necessarily say rebellion, but a little bit of a pulling away from maybe a stagnant industry right now that fans are not exactly happy with what they're getting. And there's some really good books produced. So I'm not bashing the industry as a whole, but there's obviously issues when it comes to some of the way they handle some characters and how they handle some writing the stories and whatnot. You know, you're not feeding the classic comic book fans that want what now some of these indie books are starting to give them. And that's what really drew me to a lot of the books that you're doing, a lot of the books that you just mentioned, was that I was like, hey, that's the stuff I grew up loving, you know, and that's the stuff I want to read. So that's the stuff right now that I'm supporting more than anything. Is pretty much everything you just put out there, I've backed or will be backing at some point. So it's awesome that you're a part of that.
Thank you. I'd like to give a shout out to Ray Leonard, who's been in the chat. You know, he's keeping that 90s style alive too with his book, Agent Solo. So I have both issues that he's crowdfunded, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
And since we brought up Raymond, big congratulations, because he just got a character picked up by Antarctic Press. I can't remember what the character's name was, but Antarctic Press, yeah. So big shout out to him for that. And I think Rob Liefeld gave him a shout out for being one of his favorite Black creators. So that's awesome, man. This is some big props. Raymond's an awesome dude. We had him on the show.
Bird.
What was it?
It's
Violet?
Violet Bird. Vengeance of the Bird. Revenge is beautiful. Coming soon, 2020.
There you go. Yeah, so big shout out to him, man. Giant props. That is awesome. We are all super proud of you and excited. So
yeah, he's one of my favorite people on Facebook. He's always positive. So
he is.
Yeah.
But you need that. You need more positivity in this world.
Yeah.
It's too fucking dark, man.
Yeah. And he likes Jodeci too, so he can't be all that bad.
What's up with all you people in Jodeci? I don't get it.
I told you I was at the airport with Jodeci once before.
Yeah.
They were standing right in front of me. I was like, no. And they wanted to be spotted. They were singing in line for security.
Sure. Nice. Sounds like me.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, how about since you're one of the crowdfunding kings, could you give us a 101 of the do's and don'ts for someone like Joe and I who are about to dip our toes into it?
Sure.
Joe.
How to start off.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are already going in the right direction. Times have changed, and now the promotion, you don't need to go through comic reviewers and websites. You need to be on YouTube, building an audience, and you guys are doing this with your show. Sean's joins me on Best Friend Show,
which everyone check out, by the way. Very entertaining show.
Yeah,
definitely.
Best Friend Poulton. Go check it out.
Like, sub, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
So yeah, do that. It's never too early to start promoting your book. Do at least 6 months of promotion. So I know Sean is already promoting his book. I've seen you post stuff. I think Jimmy Reyes just inked your cover. So yeah, put it out as much as possible. If you feel like you're doing too much promotion, keep doing more, because there's never enough. And just when you have that ready to build that crowdfunding page, make every reward tier crystal clear, and the thumbnail. Get good at putting the thumbnails together so you actually show what people are getting. Have it in the thumbnail. I've made mistakes before, with my last campaign. I wanted to have it. I didn't have the skills yet to create thumbnails and stuff like that. So I had tried to get someone to do it for me, and they didn't get what I wanted. I wanted the people to see what they were actually getting when they clicked on the box. So I've developed that skill now. Now I can I have the U.S. Assassin campaign coming up, and everything's like crystal clear, neatly described what you get with a picture that coincides with it, showing you what you get. Yeah, just, I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, but it's just like simple steps to make things easier. And to go on as many YouTube shows as you can. Like the last day of Sea Dog was huge. I went on John Malin's show. I'm fortunate that he's a buddy and he had me on. And then I hopped over into the chat at Dan Fraga's show, and Dan shouted out the books. And then I hopped over into the chat of EVS's show, and to my surprise, they were actually talking about my book. So make your presence known. Even if you can't get on someone's show, just jump in the chat and, you know, get a conversation going. Let them know who you are and what you have coming out.
I noticed that some people do that with a lot of the super chats with some of those guys
Yeah.
that you mentioned, where they'll promote their book or say something about their book to get it out there too. That's a hell of a tour that you did to finish out that campaign, to go on all those shows. That's a lot of viewers right there.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I didn't even make it on camera for Dan or Ethan's show, but they mentioned me, and
Yeah.
EVS kept going back to the Sea Dog campaign page as they watched like the totals keep going up. So it was an exciting night.
Oh, I can imagine, man. That's
yeah.
awesome. And so with and I know what your answer is going to be with this, but for those that might be watching that don't know, what is the difference between Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and why is Indiegogo the platform that all of these indie creators are going with and having successful money raising campaigns with?
2.5% that you get to keep.
Well, I mean, they have the option for the in-demand store. So even after your campaign closes, you can keep the store running and you can keep bringing in sales while you wait for your books. But also, I mean, there's, you know, I hate to get into like politics or anything, but there's political reasons too. Kickstarter sort of like gatekeeping their platform. If they don't like certain creators, they keep them off their page. They won't approve their campaign. Where Indiegogo is just like, you know, you put your campaign up and you launch it whenever you want. There's no like approval process. You just hit launch whenever you're ready. And like if you've seen recently, Kickstarter just you know, laid off a ton of employees.
Saw that.
Yeah, and meanwhile, like Indiegogo is having like record sales thanks to all these like huge comic campaigns, like Cyber Frogs got to hit $1 million, the new one.
Yeah.
The last Graveyard Shift did $250,000. It's the place to be right now.
Yeah, I mean, even Sean Gordon Murphy did his book on Indiegogo, and that kind of shows like how much the pull to Indiegogo is and how popular that crowdfunding site is right now. And it definitely, everything I've heard about Indiegogo definitely is where I'm going with my book when it's ready to launch. Like Sean said too, that 2.5 or 2.5% that they take less.
I think it's 2.5, right?
Is it 2 or 2.5?
I think it's 2.5. I'd have to check like my latest statement from them, but like even Mark Waid, who is like the biggest like he was against like the Comicsgate creators and like everything. He's now on Indiegogo for his latest book. So.
Saw that.
Yeah.
You gotta go where the action is. You know, you can dog it all you want. At some point, you gotta succeed and just say that, hey, you know what, I was wrong. Wave the white flag and go there. So that's awesome, though. But I would just, you know, not that this is a stream about Comicsgate, but I would have to say that the guys, some of the big names in Comicsgate, as controversial as that group might be to some people, are really, they're fortunate that Indiegogo would work with them, and then they paid that on the back end with having such big campaigns and putting all that money into Indiegogo. So that just, like you said, there's no gatekeeping there. They let you come and do your book. And as a creator, that's all you can really ask for. It's just a platform to get your book out to the people that want to support your dream, you know, and then be part of it too. Because crowdfunding, there's another thing too. Can you explain why we do crowdfunding? Because some people still, they might not understand, why am I going to pay more for a book than you could go to a comic shop and pay like, you know, $5 or $6 for a book? Why am I going to spend $25 on a book? Can you explain to them why you're going to do that and what you actually get when you do back a campaign?
So, I mean, I can't speak for all campaigns, but I can speak for Graveyard Shift, Sea Dog. You're paying for a premium product. Like the quality of Graveyard Shift isn't like something you'll get from a comic shop. It's on the thickest paper, the thickest cover stock, and it's, you know, I won't put myself on this pedestal, but like Malin's, I think, one of the best artists in the world, and he's built an audience, you know, not just from his comic work at Marvel, but with his YouTube channel. Same with Ethan Van Sciver. Ethan Van Sciver's at the point where he's not even a comic book artist now. He's like an entertainer. Right. He's a like a celebrity. So you're paying for a premium product, and you're paying for something that is rare and collectible. Graveyard Shift Volume 1 goes for over $100 on eBay, because they're so scarce. If you didn't get it, if you think like $25 is a lot, you know, try buying it on the secondary market, where you're going to have to pay, you know, four or five times the price. But you also get tons of extras with this stuff because we announced stretch goals. So you're getting trading cards, foil trading cards, prints. The last Graveyard Shift campaign, I think there's like three trading cards everyone got. There's a print everyone got, a die cut sticker. You know, we're making sure everyone's books arrive safely. We invested in Gemini mailers.
LA,
you know,
what's up, LA?
Hey, what's up, LA?
So yeah, I mean, we're customer service. I mean, you can't put a price on customer service, and you know, that's what we pride ourselves on.
You know, it's the thing too, because you guys cater to the fans. You respect the fans. You want to give the fans, you know, something that the fans are going to be proud of. And when you actually think of all of the stuff that you get in a campaign, all the stretch goals like you were talking about, you get well above a $25 value for what you receive. And I think that's one of the big things why when I hear people say, well, why am I going to spend this much money on a single comic? Well, you're not going to get a single comic. Whether that original comic is 24 pages or 100 pages, you're going to get that book, and then you're going to get all these extras that they put in. And if you keep pushing that campaign, you might get an extra comic book, like with a U.S. Assassin being a part of Graveyard Shift campaign. That's a whole extra book for that $25 or whatever that you spent, you know. So
yeah, U.S. Assassin's actually the biggest book of all the Graveyard Shift Volume 2 stuff. It's an 80-page book, and you're getting it for free. So
yeah, when I heard them announce that goal, I was
some
like,
of my stuff's in there too. So Joe, let me know if you see my name, and I'll sign it for you.
I will mail it to you just so I can get your signature, bud. Because you know
when
what?
you come out to Geeks at the Beach 2021, hopefully.
I got to return the favor because you got a book with my signature on it, so I need a book with your signature on it. And we'll just circle of life, baby.
Even Steven.
Real quick, I want to double back to JoJo said, "Where's the medal? Where's the medal?" Because we're talking so much Jonasy. Where's the medal? There's the medal right there. Mine enemies fall. That's just for JoJo. She knows what I'm talking about. There's the medal for you, babe.
So what would you suggest would be a good incentive for like a mailing list? Like someone signs up, would you say a card, a trading card would be a good one for everybody to get, or
Yeah.
a poster financially, because we don't know, like we would like to get to
Great
everything,
question.
but
No, go with trading cards. Everyone seems to like them. It's it's the nostalgia from the '90s when you were collecting the
Mhm.
Marvel cards. So we do for Graveyard Shift Volume 3. Everyone who signs up for the mailing list gets a foil trading card. They're not that expensive to make. They look great. And everyone's sort of building this trading card collection now. So yeah, I think it's a good idea.
What's your stance on like all the variant covers? Like I know there's some campaigns that do a shit ton of variants, and there are the ones that do just a few or get guest artists, all that kind of stuff. Is that something that you see can really help a campaign or hinder it, depending on how you do it?
I think it depends on like what the variant is. If you could like pull in like a big name artist, like an Ethan Van Sciver, or like for Sea Dog, I got John Malin to do a cover for me. I would say go for it. But if you're just cranking out all these variants, like I just saw, I don't want to throw anyone on the bus, but I saw like one book that had like maybe 20 variants, and I was like, you're going to get that one or two people who want a complete set, but otherwise, I feel like you're just, I don't know, watering down the product almost.
Like I have one of our friends is doing a cover for me, and I wasn't sure if I should do it as a variant or do it straight as the cover itself.
Well, I don't know. I don't think there's any problem with two covers for a campaign. You could always run the campaign with the regular cover, and then right after you end that, you could do variant campaign, because you'll get all those people who, oh, I didn't get the book before, but now I'll get it because I want this cover, and then you'll get the people who bought the book and say, oh, I also want that. So you might get two sales out of it.
Yeah,
which I'll say that kind of way I think is probably definitely the best, and that's what sucks me in, as opposed to going there and just seeing like all these different cover options. It's almost overwhelming. I just pick one that I like, it's like the rest are just whatever. But like, let's say with Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog Wrecked Planet campaign, I got the Ides of March cover, and I really wanted to get like the Jay Lee cover, but I didn't at the time. And like I waited and waited, and the campaign went, and he came out with like the variant. His variant, I can't remember what it was called, like the Heroes variant or whatever. And I was just like, oh man, it's such a badass cover. I got to get that. And then I ended up going back again and getting the Jay Lee cover. So it's stuff like that that's because they're either not necessarily stretch goals, but they're add-ons, like you said, like, because we've reached this point in our campaign. Here is this new product, same book, but here's a brand new cover. I think that probably is the best way to go. I would say as a consumer, that's what draws me in more than just, hey, here's 20 options. Choose one you like.
Yeah, that's probably what we're gonna do then. Thanks again, Mark.
Yep.
So here's another, since we're trying to make sure we cover some crowdfunding questions here, especially for anybody in the chat that is crowdfunding the book or is going to crowdfund a book. And I lost my question. Live TV. It's not live TV. Live stream, people. Lost my fucking question.
While you think of this, I'm going to just turn my video off for a second. I have to go grab my charger because I'm doing this on my phone. So I'm still with you guys.
All right, cool.
Sean, what was I going to ask? Can you read my mind? Can you bring it out of me?
What story would you recommend for first? What comic story would you recommend for a first-time comic book purchaser? FYI, that would be me. Well, I think it all depends on what your interests are. Like, do you like Batman? Like, everyone loves Batman. I would suggest getting The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller. While it's a future forward story of Batman in his career, it's a great jumping on point. It's only 4 issues. You could be as in trade. That's a good one. There's lots. There's Hugo Joe, because I have a lot.
And see, I would say The Dark Knight Returns is great, but I would say a good jumping on point, or of any character, like let's say you brought up Batman, I would totally go with the Court of Owls New 52 run with Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder. I mean, not that what Sean said was anything. I mean, that's definitely a great book to check out. But it's the thing about comics is there are so many great storylines that you could jump into that might not be
Batman:
too.
The Long Halloween by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. That's kind of like in Batman's earlier stage of career. That's a great one. The Long Halloween.
Yeah.
Dark Victory, which is a sequel to that, and they're all in trade formats, so you could read them as you go. Those are great. The Marvel, they're called the Marvel colored books. It's Daredevil yellow, Spider-Man blue, and Hulk gray. I think Captain America white is out by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. And those are kind of like throwbacks to like the 60s and 70s of that era. And it's written in that format. They're really entertaining. I suggest anything by Jeff Loeb. It's great. And I think what Mark and John's plan are to always reprint an issue with something dark.
What about something dark? I guess you mean dark as in like dark as in scary, dark as in
30 Days a Night by Steve Niles.
And The Walking Dead, if you can get those trades. I mean I know
or
it's
even
a popular.
buy digital. Yeah, you can buy digitally.
Yeah, I mean
too,
that was a really good comic.
Amazon through Comixology.
I would recommend Avengelyne Volume 1, Devil in the Flesh, hardcover.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I like that one too. Yep.
Yeah, that's a great one. And then, like I was saying, I believe like what Mark and John's plans are
Scary, okay.
is to read scary. Well, Graveyard Shift. It's scary-ish. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
There you go.
You reprint the books, right? Like with the last campaign.
Yeah, that's the plan. Kind of taking a page out of Brian Polito's playbook. We always want to keep all the volumes in print. We're trying to build this big back catalog. So whenever we have a campaign, someone new could jump on and they'll be able to easily get all the other volumes. So with Volume 2, we had Volume 1 available. When we launch Volume 3, there will be a way to get Volume 1 and 2. So, yeah. We always want to have something in print. Yep.
Because I know that like Ethan Van Sciver does his eBay store where he has all the books you can get on there, and he's always said that he wants to have Cyberfrog, Blood Honey available to buy too, but most likely it's something you have to go on eBay for. With this, you guys are just like the next campaign. Here's another opportunity to get the books that you missed, and I think that's really an awesome way to go. I completely lost the question I was going to ask, so it's gone. It went down that hole and it's not coming back. So it was a good one too. I know that it was a good one.
Oh, yeah,
it was a good one.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So Mark, what would you feel is a better model, doing the single issue or doing the let's say 2 issues in one, a 40-page or 48-page with extras, so 40 of the comic and then extra material as a trade paperback type of format.
So my preference, I like the at least 48-page graphic novel model. Put a spine on it, a square-bound spine, and I don't mind paying $25 for that if it's something nice that I can put on my bookshelf. That's where I kind of like draw the line. Like I don't feel like paying $25 for something that's just stapled together is a good value. But if it has a spine on it and I feel like it's going to be something that sits on my bookshelf and something I'll go back to, then yeah, I'm willing to invest in that. So I would say go that route. And it doesn't have to be 8 pages of story. It could be 40 pages of story, 8 pages of back matter. And I mean, it could be 48 pages of story, and then with stretch goals, we did this with Graveyard Shift Volume 1. We added 16 more pages because of stretch goals. We added like a fan art section. We added back matter behind the scenes where John and I talked about the whole 8-year process of getting Graveyard Shift made and all the different versions that there was over the years. Yeah, there's some of the trading cards.
Nice.
That's the camera.
Yeah.
And these came out great.
You need to find out where the camera is, man. You say it every time.
Thank you.
I know.
Yeah, so the trading cards were the artwork's by John, but the trading cards were designed by Ryan Onorado, who did Pizza Tree with me and Chase. He's awesome. He does all our production stuff on Graveyard Shift, puts the book together for us. Puts together all the the bonus material in the back. So yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's everywhere. Like a lot of people
he's working.
him.
Yeah, he's
like
working for everyone now. Yeah, Chase and I were doing a book with him, and he had to drop off it because he's too busy. So
wow.
Yeah.
Now shout out to Ryan. Ryan's a great guy. Very talented. He makes me sick.
With my campaign that I'm gonna be doing, so before I started doing this book, I mean, Mark, I was talking to you about this book, for the last few years, that I was doing it in a standard comic book format, 6-issue story arc, 22, 24 pages or whatever. But since I decided to go the crowd campaign route, I have discussed with my writer and of putting extras in the book. So I mean, like the story, because I don't want to mess up the story, because I just have I've issue stories that lead somewhere. So I don't want to just be like, let's cram a bunch of stuff just to make it a giant book. We did discuss things like you talked about, like having a section where it's like talk about the book, why you created the book, some character bios or whatever, things of that. So you're saying like putting something like that in the book that just gives extra is a good idea. With a shorter book
adds value. Yeah, I feel like that all adds value to the book. Like if I'm invested in a book, I want to know this stuff. I want to know like the struggle to put the book, all the different incarnations it's gone through over the years. I mean, Graveyard Shift was 8 years in the making. John redrew certain pages 3 times, and we have all 3 versions of the pages. John and I put out a Graveyard Shift Ashcan back in 2011, and we actually made that available as like a reward. But we also for those that didn't get the Ashcan, we put some of that Ashcan artwork in the back matter of the main book just to show you how this book has evolved over the years. So I mean, not just from like a creator saying it's a good business model, but as a fan, I love that inside baseball, behind the scenes type stuff.
Right. Yeah. All right. That's good. Good to know. Sean. I look over here every once in a while. And a lot of times, most of the time, I just look at me because I'm so damn beautiful. I look at you every once in a while, and you're standing. You're sitting over there with a big grin on your face. The entire stream. I like it. It's awesome.
I'm kind of buzzed.
Oh, well, that would be why. This would be the first.
Yeah, but my uncle dropped off some margaritas.
If I'd known this was a party, I would have been all about it. I'm just stuck with my coffee in a backup mug because I don't know what happened to my other mug, my favorite one. But that, and I've got the trusted Faygo Rock and Ride. What do you mean? What the hell is that?
I have no idea what that is.
You don't know?
Because I live on the East Coast where like normal shit happens. Like we don't call soda pop or like.
Who never heard of the Insane Clown Posse?
Yeah, I mean they made. Wait, all right, I'm gonna be like Sean. What the fuck's my camera? Faygo, man, Rock and Ride. You kidding me?
No idea.
I'm gonna send you a case.
I'm a diabetic. Yeah,
just
here's some Jolt Cola. That's exactly what I need.
Yeah, man. Shit. So I had a couple questions about current. I'm sorry. You have anything else about crowdfunding, Sean? Before we jump off the subject.
Yeah, just real quick, like
I actually do have coffee in that mug. Yeah, I'm not too exciting right now. I wish I had something else, but yeah.
Hello from Boise.
Boise,
What's up,
what's up, bro?
Josie?
So, what would you think would be a great like for doing the mailing list? Like, how long does that run? And then doing the campaign, like, do you do the initial 30 days, or do you shift over to 60 and then let it go? And how long in advance should you have it from start to finish? Like, I want to have the book at least close to completed by the time I start doing at least the mailing list. Like, I want to at least have it into the letterer's hands or colorists. So by
Yeah,
the time the campaign's going, it'll be either leathers or file formatted.
yeah. So like for a newer creator with a new property like yourself, I would
Hmm.
suggest having, a lot done in advance, just like even for your mailing list, so you have artwork that people can see what the book's about. I think there's even room to put a video up on like the Indiegogo page, even for the mailing list. So you might even want to do a short video on the project. Um, but like the mailing list, I would say it's good to probably have it up for like 6 months while you're trying to build an audience for this project before you launch.
Okay.
And then when you do launch, it's probably best to do like 30 days. That way, after the first run the campaign for 60 days, but put it under 30 days. And then when you get to that last day, you're building some excitement that it's the last day of the first 30 days. And then, right before it ends, then you switch it over to another 30 days. Indiegogo gives you that option to do maximum 60 days. So you can do 30 and then extend it another 30 right before it closes. And then you get to build that excitement one more time as it closes. So it's almost like you have two closeouts. You're
Right.
just like celebrating the first half of the campaign closing. It might be a little bit of a trick on on some things, but I think at this point everyone gets that most
They
campaigns are
understand.
lasting 60 days.
And would you say that when you do that, that maybe having something new for the, or can you even do something new for the new 30 days, like a new cover or something like that, to say, here's,
You
it's not being hoodwinked, here's something new to keep on going, you know.
I mean, you can add new rewards, but I would say like maybe hold off on some of that preview art, and then when you go into the next um, final 30 days, then you can reveal some more artwork to like maybe someone who hadn't been convinced. Maybe this new artwork will grab them and say,
Gotcha.
"Oh, yeah, now I'm into this." Whether it be like John, when John did a cover for Sea Dog, we didn't have that cover when we first launched,
Yeah.
but we got to show it off once we were in campaign or in demand for the campaign, and that brought in new people who were on the fence, but once they saw John's cover, they wanted to back that tier.
Yeah, I'd have to check, but I'm pretty sure I backed that cover too when I saw it,
Yeah,
because I was like, that's dope. It was,
thank you.
it was a badass cover. Um, yeah, I guess before I got a couple questions, but before I get into that, I wanted to give a chance. We back up just a little bit, and for those that don't necessarily know about your projects, could you tell us what one of your projects that you're really excited about is about? You can pick anyone because you got so many, but one that you would
Um,
want to promote and push out there and say, hey, this is something I'd like you to check out of mine that I'm really excited about.
Sure, I'll go with my next campaign that I have coming up, U.S. Assassin. We have a mailing list for it on Indiegogo, but it's a second chance campaign for those that didn't back Graveyard Shift. When Graveyard Shift hit $170,000, the stretch goal was all backers get a copy of U.S. Assassin, which was a brand new 80-page graphic novel that I wrote. Mike McMahon, who I co-created the character with, he did all the artwork. My son Chase is even involved. Chase created a couple of the characters. He
Nice.
created one of the villains, Slither. he drew this giant picture of this snake man for me, and it was hanging in my office. And Mike McMahon saw it, and he was like, "Oh, that guy needs to be in the book." And then Chase and I were playing around with Legos, and we made this Lego dog that had a bazooka on his back, and we named him Bazooka Dog. Then we were like, "Oh, Bazooka Dog needs to be in the book too." So Chase gets credit on the book. Sean, our buddy right here, he gets credit on the book. He worked on the gray tones for the book. And it's just, it's another love letter to 90s comics. It's just like tons of action, bright colors. Andrew Dahlhaus, who works for DC, works for Valiant, one of the best colorists in the business.
Yeah, he's doing my book too. Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was pretty excited to get him. So, absolutely.
Yeah, Andrew's the man. He colored U.S. Assassin. He colored Sea Dog for me, and he's coloring more stuff down the pipeline for me. And I'm just really excited about U.S. Assassin. I love writing the book, and we're giving people a second chance to get Volume 1. And then once the Volume 1 Second Chance campaign is over, Mike and I, we're already done Volume 2. We're going to roll out Volume 2 and just give people a 1-2 punch. Nice. And one of the fortunate things that Graveyard Shift has given me is the ability to get all these other projects in production and going, and it's just so happened that all of them are finishing up around the same time. So I'm going to have like project after project, U.S. Assassin Volume 2. I have a reboot of the public domain character, the Black Owl, that I'm doing with Greg Paulson. And then I have this book with artist Matt Dalton and Renzo Rodriguez called Viking Wolf that I think just going to be like the biggest thing besides Graveyard Shift that I do. And then
I saw you post some art from that, and that looked really cool.
Yeah, Matt is a tremendous artist, and when I met him, he wanted to be an inker, and I was like, no, no, you're a great inker, but you're an even better artist, and I want to make a book with you. And he was like, I just really want to ink. And I was like, no, you gotta draw a book. I was like, I'll do whatever I have to get you to draw, this book for me. And I pitched him the idea, and he was on board. And we're bringing Renzo on board with us. And Renzo just worked on the Expendables book.
Okay.
He's incredible artist. So I got the 1-2 punch of Matt and Renzo on that book. And I still got Graveyard Shift 3 coming up. I have Sea Dog Volume 2. I'm just lucky to work with all these great artists. I feel like I'm cornering the market on great artists.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, you sound busy, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think you're using Hey, Tomic, how's it going, brother? Thank you for checking it out.
That kid's super talented. He's only like 12 years old.
15, but close. 15, but he is. Everybody check out Tomic's art. He's on the social medias, Instagram. I think he's on mostly, but dude, really great artist. A lot of potential there. But I don't know if it's maybe easier for a writer in some of these situations, a writer creator, than it is for an artist. But I think you're using the platform really like to perfection right now because of the fact that you have the ability to do all of these books and you're getting them out like one after another. So anybody that's following you as a writer creator, they get new stuff from you fairly regularly, and that might be unique in itself when it comes to the crowdfunding.
Yeah, I'm fortunate. Writing doesn't take as long as doing the artwork, so I can do more projects where an artist probably at this pace can maybe do two projects a year. I'm fortunate enough I can do like 4, possibly 5, but then I have the possibility of overlapping campaigns, and I really don't want to do that. So
good point.
and like recent events have sort of like threw my schedule off because I was hoping to have U.S. Assassin launched by now, but the delay with Graveyard Shift because of the pandemic has pushed back fulfillment like 2 months, actually probably 3 months at this point. But having all these finished books is a good problem to have. So it's just once I get rolling with U.S. Assassin, it's just going to be book after book after book, and I'm super excited about it.
It's funny about the U.S. Assassin. When I first saw that the art posted, as it was in the Graveyard campaign when it popped up, and I saw the character, and I saw he had a hood on, and I remember to a conversation you and I had when I was just geeking out that hood, fucking looks badass. But I was wondering if you could give a little bit of a synopsis of the story of U.S. Assassin.
Sure, it is. So U.S. Assassin is sort of like my love letter to American Ninja movies from the 80s. Michael Dudikoff's the man. Sean and I, we actually do a podcast called Dudecast where we review Michael Dudikoff movies. But I love the American Ninja franchise, and I was thinking, what would American Ninja be doing now? He'd probably be retired from the military. So what would he be doing? So U.S. Assassin finds, our Michael Dudikoff, Joe Knight, retiring from like this super agent business, and he takes a job with a private security firm, and he finds out that their latest advance in personal security are like superhumans. And he was like, no, totally against it. They're untrained, unreliable. And they're like, well, that's why we're hiring you. We want you to train them. And he trains them. Their first mission goes wrong, and then these metas turn on him, and it's they take his family hostage, and he has to put the costume back on and become U.S. Assassin one more time. So I always pitch it as it's the Dark Knight meets American Ninja.
Nice.
And so originally it was done like as a one and done, but Mike McMahon and I had so much fun doing it, and we had this awesome opportunity to give it out to like 2,500 to 3,000 people for free. So at the end we planted seeds for a volume 2, and we just finished volume 2, so we planted seeds for volume 3, which is going to be huge. I'm so excited about that. So it's just been a whole lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we both have major love for 80s action films and 90s comics, and that's what this is a perfect combination of those two.
I was just gonna say, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we're even talking about we're talking with a creator for volume 4 about doing this huge team up that 90s Mark would be super excited about, and current Mark is even more excited about.
Like Sean and I was talking, like that really is a great era just to pull ideas from and mash them all together and bring it to now, to current year. It was an era of the 80s action movies, even the early 90s action movies, all the sci-fi stuff that came out, the comic book scene. Then you bring all that energy, try to capture that energy in one package or multiple, and just bring it to now and just give it to people, because like I said earlier in the stream, that kind of stuff is sorely lacking. Just fun, action-filled entertainment.
It's all the guys like us that grew up loving that stuff. We're now adults with disposable income, so we can go back and we can buy instead of like going back and buying our past, we can buy these new things that remind us of our past.
Yep. One more time, Sean, I'm going to ask, is there any other things you want to cover before I jump off of this subject?
I'll just text him later.
All right, so this is the first time since Sean and I started the Ott and Stuff show that we've had on a writer. So I've had this question in my head for a couple of days now. It just popped in. I was like, I'm gonna ask Mark this. I've noticed, and I'm sure other people have noticed too, that writers today, and I'm not going to mention any names, but tend to take over a project, take over characters, and they project themselves into the characters or whatever they stand for, or whatever you want to say politically or whatever, and they kind of take that character and they change him a little bit to the point where they don't know the character or they don't respect the character, and it doesn't resemble that character anymore. From a writer's point of view, when you approach a character, let's just say, like DC is like, hey, Michael Bendis is leaving Superman. We come to you, Mark Poulton. We'd like to jump on and kickstart Superman. If you had the opportunity to come in and take on a character, do you approach that as, I'm going to take this character with this established history and I know what the character is supposed to be about and I'm going to build on that? Or do you come in with a different idea of what you feel that character should be about and take it in a different direction?
No, I would just build on what fans love about that character and try to build on that, and never push my own agendas or beliefs onto that. I mean, I hate when celebrities or whoever like push their agendas. It's turned me off of bands and stuff. Like, I'll like a band and then they'll like just start preaching about whatever, and it could be a really great cause, but I was like, man, I listen to you because I like
Fuck
cool
the
rock
seals.
music. I don't I don't want to be like, this is escapism for me. I don't want to be reminded about real world problems. But I mean, that's just my point of view, and that's why I love comics. I love it for the escapism, and I read comics for fun and to take my mind off of whatever's going on. And that's like the type of comics I love to write. I love to write fun comics, over the top action. I mean, I learned from Rob Liefeld, and I always say, like, he makes the best summer blockbuster comics, and those are the type of comics I want to make. I don't. I mean, the biggest message you'll get from one of my books is good guys punching bad guys in the faces. So I might be the wrong person to ask that question. I might be the right person. I don't know. Depending on the fan you ask, because
Well,
there tends to be a really big divisiveness between fans of what they want. But for my money and for the people that are backing my book, I know what they want, and they just want some fun comics. So that's what I'm delivering.
and I think that's what makes a good writer creator, and I think that's what guys like me and Sean and probably a lot of people watching appreciate about writers like you is you are trying to present something to the fans that is going to entertain them, because there's a lot of stupid shit in the world, and you want to have a chance to get away from that and just really break away and get into an entertainment aspect of comics or music or movies or whatever. And it's the same thing, when you're looking at characters, most people that buy books for the character know the character and they want to see the character evolve. They don't necessarily say, hey, I'm buying this book because so and so is going to write it. I know some fans are like that, but if you fuck with a character too much, it's not that character anymore. You lose sight of whatever that character might be. And instead of somebody coming in and just saying, I'm going to make this character the best he can be based on his or her history, and then I think that's the way to go. And I think that's one of the things that has been lost in the industry, and why I'm excited that the indie scene is kind of saying, what, screw it, we're going to do it ourselves, and we're going to create great comics, fun comics for the fans, and that's what we're going to give them, and that's what we're always going to give them. Like you said, you're not going to preach. You're going to create good stuff with bad guy or good guys hitting bad guys, and that's all I'm looking for. And I think that's what a lot of people are looking for as well.
Yeah, and like my favorite era of comics was like the 90s, and that's when the art was first and foremost. And I feel like I'm writing for my artists. I want them to shine. The most I'm writing U.S. Assassin Volume 3 right now, and I'm like trying to limit the pages to like 3 panels at most because I want Mike to shine on this issue. I want him to be like the star of this. I'm giving him plenty of room to like draw cool stuff. And like when I was a fan, I didn't buy a book because of who was writing it. I was buying it because of who was drawing it. And you know, and to this day, I don't really have a favorite writer, but I have, you know, a bunch of favorite artists.
And as an artist,
this is coming from a writer.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and as an artist, that's an artist's dream to have a page that's just like 3 panels. It's not 5 to 9 panels. You know, it's just like, here, have fun. Yeah, that is awesome. I agree with Joseph. Denny, is that how you pronounce your last name? I'm horrible at pronouncing names, so if I slaughtered that, I'm sorry. Yeah, McFarlane, you know, McFarlane's just a different kind of guy. I'll say that. He's on a different spectrum of his own. He can do a lot of things, and seems like he'll never piss too many people off. He's a special guy like that. Sean?
Yo. I'm just having a good time. I'm just chilling.
I know.
Chilling with my buddies. I'm good.
So I had that DC question. Sean, what was the other fucking question I was going to ask?
What's your feelings about what's your feelings about DC breaking away from Diamond?
Thank you.
So I hear everyone losing their minds over this, but for the longest time, all I heard was people complain about Diamond and that they needed to find a new distribution system. So now DC has found a new distribution system, and everyone's losing their mind that they broke away from Diamond. So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure my store's still gonna get DC comics. They're not gonna say screw DC. I don't know. I don't really know as too much about the topic. I haven't read up on it, what it really means to everyone. But I think it'll still be business as usual.
Yeah, I think so too. I was actually, like you said, I was a little surprised when there was such backlash, because I was just like, oh, you know, I mean, they're choosing to do something different. They've got the right to do that. I don't really know how that affects the industry too much, per se, but
for the longest time, everyone complained about the monopoly Diamond had on the comic industry. So now someone's doing something different about it, and they're like, oh, we want the monopoly back. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Is that the same guy that owns Dynamite that owns Diamond? Or is it 2 different people?
No, it's two different people. Nick Perucci owns Dynamite. Steve Jeppy owns Diamond.
Okay, I always get that confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
Den Annie. Den Annie? Joseph Den Annie. Den Annie? For some reason, that still didn't help. I'm sorry, really. Like, people mess my name up too. So, you know, they'll say Sonntag. It's, you know, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, try having this.
Try having that. I had no idea how to pronounce Sean's last name until I actually asked him one day, and I was embarrassed to do so because I'd known Sean for a while. But I was just like, I'm sorry, man. How the fuck do you pronounce your last name?
The D is silent.
Yeah. I think that's what threw me off.
I might drop the D.
You might drop the D.
I'm gonna get rid of the D. Because that's the type of guy I am.
If the creators are taken care of and the stories don't suffer, then it's all good. I agree.
I'm with the shits.
The shits. I smell what you're cooking. I'm picking it up when you're laying down.
There you
go. I'm sure. I'm sure I was probably drunk too. So I'm not drunk now though. I'm sober. I'm still fucking your name up. So sorry.
Check your mentions.
Mark, where can we find you and any of the products? If anyone's really interested in backing any number of your crowdfunded projects.
Sure. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Coney Waves, which was my first comic book. And then on Indiegogo, you can sign up for the mailing lists of a bunch of my upcoming books. Graveyard Shift Volume 3, which launches at the end of this month. U.S. Assassin Volume 1, Second Chance Campaign. Loose Threads, which is a 80-page graphic novel I have with artist Cesar Madaro, who I also met from Rob Liefeld's message boards. And I'm going to have to create pages for Viking Wolf, Sea Dog Volume 2, and the Black Owl, which are all going to come out by the end of this year or early 2021.
Wow, there's a lot of stuff coming. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. This just popped in my head when we were. Do you think that there will ever be an opportunity where you get to do another project with Rob at all?
I don't think so.
No?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Just the way Rob has like spoken recently about like working with writers, I don't think he has any interest in working with a writer or a scripter or anything like that. So yeah, I think he's perfectly content to just be a one-man show. And I feel like he's an underrated writer. His writing on X-Force was great. Youngblood. I read the new Brigade. I dug that. So, and all the books he wrote over at DC, I was enjoying them. So he's an underrated writer, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, I mean, it's awesome that you had that chance to work with him in the project you did. And not many people can say that.
No.
So that's
I'm a lucky guy. I know that.
Absolutely. That is truly awesome. Joseph says Loose Threads looks interesting.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
There you go, man. Check that shit out. I'm telling you.
I just want to
tell people all the time.
Mail call.
Oh yeah.
I got in my shipment of
put you
Eon
front and
boards.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get to work on using these. Some great Brett Booth.
Yeah.
Adelso Corona and Andrew Dollhouse art on it. And shout out to Brett Thompson of Eon Board and one of our guests, friend of the show. So
friend of the show.
To having him on.
Yeah, and Mark, will you come back and grace us with your presence again one day?
Yeah, anytime, man. This has been fun.
Cool.
We'll have to maybe get you back on when he's doing U.S. Assassins 2 or something like that.
Sure.
Volume 3's
or 3.
Well, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Wait, we'll figure it out. Yeah, whatever you want to do. Absolutely.
I can come on multiple times, guys.
My man.
Thank you, JoJo.
All right, man.
Yeah, man, we'd love to have you back anytime. And we also do this show called Fluffer and Stuff that is just a nonsensical nonsense show,
man.
Yeah, we'll have guests on that show too anytime. So, all right, everybody, I am gonna end the stream here pretty soon. Mark, stick around for a little bit backstage so we can have a backstage party, chew the shit. But Sean, my friend, where can we find you?
Instagram, Sean Ahrent. Facebook, Sean Ahrent. Twitter, Sean Ahrent. YouTube, Sean Ahrent. Fridays or Saturdays on Primetime Poland with my best friend Mark Poulton, the Best Friend Show, and also Dudecast, where we do Michael Dudikoff, and also here on and Stuff. And Joe, where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at Joe M. Sonntag. Please subscribe, like, and share. DeviantArt, ArtStation. I do a show. Oh, by the way, so next Thursday I have the JMS Roundhouse discussion where I'm still looking for people to participate, where we're going to be talking about Jack the King Kirby versus Stan Lee. And not in a bad way. Not in a bad way, but we're just going to talk about these two monster giant legendary figures and how they shaped the industry Not who's better. I want to put that out there. Even though it says versus, I'm not trying to say who's better, but
Kirby.
it'll be a good discussion. So Thursday, JMS Roundhouse discussion on my channel on Joe Sonntag on YouTube. You can find that there too. Mike McMahon says, "Go!"
Oh, Mike will
Dang
be
it,
our guest
I missed
next
it.
Friday. No, next Friday, Mike's are going to be our guest here. We just have to figure out what time. I found the camera. We got to figure out what time is best for him to make it work because I think he's an hour or so later than us because he lives in like the cornfield states.
Well, you're an hour behind us. I would say he's probably an hour behind us.
I think he's an hour behind us, so we got to
Yeah.
figure out
We're
what time.
flexible with our time. We're flexible with our time. So we got a lot of fun guests.
We're easy like a Sunday morning.
Central time. Yeah, you're an hour behind
Central.
us. So
Cornfield time. Gotcha.
Cornfield.
He's a pop guy. I think he calls soda pop. Yeah.
I think he
Wait.
calls it soda pop.
I was just gonna say
Soda
everybody calls it
pop.
pop.
Yeah.
Who calls it soda pop?
Yep. I think so. I think that's how it goes.
Nobody calls it pop.
I call it pop.
I was just hanging with Malin, and he calls it pop.
Yeah, well, they're weird.
I was
Yeah.
just, what do you, everybody I know calls it pop. Who calls it soda?
Yeah, because you live in Central America.
Soda pop. All right, we'll have to
Doesn't
have a
make
discussion
sense.
about that one.
Yeah, us
me, it's
crazy
just
guys
pop.
know what's up. It's Coke. Whether it's Pepsi
Fucking-
or Coca-Cola, it's Coke.
You fucking coasters, man. I'll tell you what.
You guys are weird. Yeah,
I'm weird. You're weird. Listen to your voice. Listen to that accent.
I don't have an
Say
accent.
Twitter.
I talk
Say Twitter.
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 I talk
That's
normal.
right.
I talk normal. You guys are weird.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the latest
Thank you.
episode of the
Art and Stuff show. And thank you, Mark. You're peach.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, check Mark out on all of his platforms. Back his books because he is one of the good guys when it comes to writing comic books for the fans and for not only our generation, but the generations coming up that want to just have good, entertaining, fun comic books.
He's like Pepsi. He's the generation for the kids.
It's like Dr. Pepper, 23 flavors, baby. 23 flavors. All right, Joseph, thanks for checking out the show. We're about
Thank
to
you
jump
for
out
coming
here
by.
too. So, all right, everyone. Have a great and wonderful weekend. Be good to each other, and we will see you all next time on the Art and Stuff show.